in and talk about Chris Rock. Chris Rock made an interesting statement about the Will Smith thing. It's kind of a quick update in terms of really kind of getting insight into what he's thinking. And during his recent comedy tour, he basically said something like, I will talk about the incident when I get paid. And that made a lot of sense. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this because I think this is a great financial conversation. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day under one condition. The condition is that we are B1. B1 means Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means we educate our kids. Black first means that we put our community ahead of the curve when it comes to wealth and economics and financial literacy. If you agree with that philosophy, then put a hashtag B and the number one in the chat, hashtag B1. Hello, Peter Alma and C. Smith. I see you, and Janet Howard and Darren Brooks and Max Jerome. What's going on, everybody? So let me just jump right in. I'm not going to spend too much time on here tonight, but I just wanted to come in and talk to you guys because I hadn't talked to you for much of the day. And I saw an update on the whole Chris Rock thing in terms of Chris Rock in his statements about the Will Smith thing, the Will Smith Oscars thing. As you know, a lot of people have been waiting for him to talk about it, and he hasn't talked. And today I saw something that really confirmed to me why he wasn't talking, why he basically isn't trying to mess up his situation. The reason he hasn't been talking is because it's all about the money. It's all about the bread. The fact is that everybody's waiting to hear Chris Rock's reaction to what Will Smith did. Everybody's looking to see what's he going to do? What's he going to say? And what's his next move? Chris has played this like a chess master. Chris has played this situation like Mozart. He has played it better than Barry Bonds and Michael Jordan put together. This man has really, really worked this situation because he knows that the whole country is sitting there with bated breath, waiting to hear what he's going to say, what his reaction is going to be. Now, do me a favor, just so I can be clear. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me okay. Give me a yes if you can hear me okay, because sometimes when I'm traveling, I'm always worried about my audio and making sure that that's good. So anyway, let's get back to wealth. So Cerise says, good Lord, let's get back to wealth and business. Let's put this comment on the chat. So it sounds like Cerise is a little bit upset. She says, can you get back to wealth business and leave people business alone? Nobody cares. So Cerise is mad. Cerise is like, this ain't got nothing to do with no economics. This ain't got nothing to do with wealth. This ain't got nothing to do with money, boy, Dr. Boy. Why are you up here gossiping, man? Why are you gossiping? Good question. Good question. So I'm going to do you like Chris Rock did Will Smith. So you came up in my chat and tried to slap me. Well, I'm not going to slap you back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to calmly respond to your eloquent question, my sister. Let me tell you why I'm talking about this issue and why I'm perfectly qualified to discuss it as a person who is a master of finance and a master of money. Or in Game of Thrones, they would call me a master of coin. This whole situation is all about the dollar bills. This is all about how money flows in America. This is all about how temperament plays a huge role in your economic success or failure, in your economic success or lack thereof. If you don't have the right temperament, you will never, ever make any money. Warren Buffett has a quote I'm going to share with y'all real quick. His quote is this. He says that wealth is the transfer of money from the impatient to the patient. That patient people get rich, impatient, irrational, undisciplined people go broke. So why would this conversation come to bear in this Chris Rock scenario with Will Smith? Well, again, I don't know why Will went up and slapped Chris. Maybe it was premeditated. Maybe he planned it. Maybe he had a big master plan. If he had one, I'm not seeing it. The poll I saw the other day said that Will Smith's popularity has plummeted since the incident. Will Smith said on a video, my wife is a therapist, and we did a pillow talk. We have a podcast called Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. You can find it at boycewatkins.com if you want to subscribe. And we were watching a video where Will says in the video something that I've never heard him say before. He says that this social media presence is my bread and butter. That means bread and butter is like money. That's his bread. That's how he makes his bread. He makes millions on social media. Well, if you notice on social media, Will's image has been getting mutilated. It's been getting destroyed. If you go to Will Smith's own YouTube channel, every single comment, I did a video where I read about 120 comments, one by one after the other on Will Smith's YouTube channel. All of them were very negative. All of them were extremely negative. So if social media is his bread and butter, and that's one of the places he's making millions of dollars, and he's losing popularity, according to the poll, they said more people disapprove of Will Smith now than they did right after the slap. So the slap happened, his approval rating dropped tremendously. He goes from being an international star to just being, in the eyes of some people, a thug. And then, or toxic masculinity, these terms they like to use. And then a week later, his approval rating dropped even further, whereas Chris Rock's approval rating has gone up. What does this mean? Well, a lot of the billions of dollars that get transferred through Hollywood are transferred because of your level of likability. If they don't like you, then ain't nobody gonna pay to see your movie half the damn time, unless they love to hate you. Now, if you're the guy they love to hate, then maybe you could do okay. But for the most part, Will Smith has lost about $100 million because he lost the number one asset that he had in his portfolio, which was his extreme likability. They loved him when he was the Fresh Prince. They didn't like him when he tried to imitate Tupac. Right? Only Tupac can be Tupac. He was a bad imitation of Tupac. So this is a very heavy economic conversation in a couple of ways. One, when you look at that incident, let's go back to the incident. Let's just rewind and go back to that night when there's a big debate online about how Chris should have responded and what was appropriate and whether Will should have slapped him and all that. Well, one of the problems you got to understand, Black people, is that some of y'all going to stay broke forever because you ain't got no discipline. You don't have no strategy. You're not making no plans. People that build wealth have plans. People that build wealth have strategy. People that build wealth have discipline. And so basically, Will Smith, if he was doing this out of anger and throwing away $100 million because he's pissed off at somebody, well, that's not a good wealth building strategy. Chris Rock, on the other hand, could have done what a lot of people have said, right? A lot of people said, "Oh, I would have slapped him. I would have embarrassed the whole Black community. I would have whooped his ass on stage." Well, yeah, but then at that point, your desire to just react the way Black people are trained to react. We're not as a culture. Our culture is not a very proactive culture. We have a reactive culture. We react to things as opposed to thinking through and being proactive. So as a result, if Chris Rock had responded to Will Smith and got into a big tussle with Will on that stage, and then got on the microphone and said, "Yeah, man, I can't be having nobody disrespecting me like that, dog. That ain't right. You up here talking smack about me, man. You don't smack me. What? I'm gonna bet you." If he gone straight rapper, then guess what? That will be $100 million out the window for Chris, because then they will both look like two idiots. There's actually a saying that says two people fighting from a distance, they both look like idiots. That when people are just watching and both of y'all just acting like children and you're both in your 50s, Chris Rock will be 60 years old in 3 years. So he ain't no spring chicken. That literally you both just end up looking silly and looking crazy. So anyway, as I move forward, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up if you haven't done it yet. My website is boycewatkins.com, by the way. And also, if you want, some of y'all want copies of my books and stuff like that and autograph copies. And my wife and I have a store together where we have autograph copies of our books. If you'd like to go and take a look at some of the bundle packs, feel free to go to the drwatkinsstore.com. The URL is right there on the screen if you want to go take a look. So her books are there, mine are there, and we have bundles and stuff like that. So feel free to go take a look. So let me just give you a couple of thoughts that I've noticed. So first off, Chris is about to sign a blockbuster deal. Will Smith's net worth is much, much, much higher than Chris's. I think Will Smith is well over $250 million. Chris Rock, according to most estimates, is about $60 million, which is actually relatively small for someone of his stature. After a 25, 30-year career, I mean, he's been around since Pookie in New Jack City. He pretty much, you expect him to have more money. He still has to tour. He still has to do a lot of comedian stuff. He doesn't have the same opportunities as Will Smith. Will Smith's more of a boss. Maybe that's why he can afford to go slap people and still be okay, because Will Smith owns a lot of different assets and he's got a lot of things working where he's in the background. So his income's going to come regardless, but he is going to lose favor with Hollywood, at least for the time being. Also, remember what I was saying before. The second point that I wanted to So three things. One, Will Smith's drop in approval is going to cost him a lot of money. Two, as Warren Buffett said, that patience and discipline is required to build wealth. If you don't have patience, you're not going to build wealth. Chris is being extremely patient. I'm watching this. I'm very impressed with the way he's sitting back and not saying a single word about any of this. He's not talking to anybody about anything because he's in the background signing a massive $100 million deal with Netflix or Disney or somebody where he's going to do a whole routine about it. In fact, he even hinted. See, this is where he's dropping hints. This is marketing, y'all. This is where business is being done right now. So he's marketing that he's got a whole comedy routine written out about this whole thing. So believe me, he gonna come out and he gonna make all kinds of Jada jokes. He gonna make G.I. Jane jokes. He gonna make jokes about Will and entanglement. Watch, Chris is gonna come out swinging at the right time. I guarantee it. He's gonna make entanglement jokes. He's gonna make G.I. Jane jokes. He's gonna make any kind of joke about Will and Jada that he possibly can, because Chris uses his comedy to get his vengeance on people. You can tell. You can tell there's a little bit of beef between those two, because back in 2016, when Jada boycotted the Oscars because Will didn't get nominated, right? She didn't want to boycott every year. She just wanted to boycott that year because she thought he should have got nominated. Chris pretty much dissed her at that time too. So there's an issue there. He's gonna get his revenge. He's just waiting for the right time. And you know what that makes me think about? You know, when they say G's move in silence, or when Warren Buffett says that the power and the wealth come to those who are patient. There was a guy, a mobster who has a great YouTube channel. His name's Michael Francis. And Michael used to be in the mafia. And one of the things that he said is that he said, yeah, back in the mob days, you know, you don't talk about somebody's family. Like, that's not appropriate. That's off limits. He said, that's a problem. He said, but I wouldn't have ran up on the stage and slapped him, because then you're giving away your position. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows what you're doing. He said, I would have sat there. I would have laughed up the joke. You would have thought I didn't even hear it. He said, but then the next day, Chris Rock would have ended up in the hospital. That's what he said. He said, I'm not saying this is what you should do, but he said, that's how we handle things. You don't just necessarily give away your position. You have to be strategic. So ultimately, what I like about Chris Rock's move in all of this is that he's allowing strategy to override his emotion. He's not reacting just emotionally and responding to things quickly. The other piece too that's interesting from a wealth perspective is that there's a lot at stake for both of these guys financially. In another category, a lot of people haven't talked about. Chris Rock, a lot of people don't talk about this, but Chris Rock lost $40 million when he divorced his wife, Malak. $40 million is a lot of money for almost anybody. That's a lot of money, especially for Chris Rock. Remember, his net worth is only $60 million. So he lost $40 million when he divorced his ex-wife. So Chris is probably still looking for that comeback and come up, because his money did get hit pretty hard in his divorce. Will, I would argue that I would wonder, I'm not going to say this is for sure or not, because I don't know these two, but I would wonder if Will and Jada have stayed married because Will doesn't want to have to write the kind of check he would have to write in order to divorce Jada. And unfortunately, that might be something that she has hanging over his head. I don't know. So what does that mean? Well, that does mean that if you get married, if you are a person of high income and you get married, you're going to have to be extremely thoughtful about who you marry. If you are wealthy and they are broke, then just be prepared for the fact that if you get a divorce, you're going to be writing big checks. So one of the things that I've seen some people do is, one, they try to marry people that are somewhat equally yoked financially to them, or two, they marry somebody and get a nice prenup where everything's fair and square and set up nicely, right? So ultimately, I wonder if that whole divorce settlement payment thing is one of the things that's creating complications in both of their lives. And so it's just something to think about when you talk about your money. One of the things about wealth is that there are 4 steps to building wealth in this country, four wealth steps in America. One is learning where the wealth is. That's where financial literacy comes from. Most people don't have any money because they don't even know where the money's at. They don't even know. They think money comes from a job. They don't even know about all the other ways that people are actually making lots of money. Number 2 is making a plan to go get the money, right? A lot of people fall off on that. They might know what to do, but they don't do it. They don't plan to do it. They're off, watching Netflix and partying and just sitting around and wasting time, smoking weed, or whatever they do. They're not making a plan to do anything. That's why I tell you, ladies, if you get married to a man and you want that man to do well financially, marry a man with a plan. If you ask him what his plan is and he can't tell you, then that's not the man for you, because any man who's not planning to succeed is actually planning to fail. The third step in the wealth accumulation process, after you have learned where the money's at and made a plan to go get it, is you must work that plan, execute that plan day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, until you get to the mountaintop. This takes a long time. There's 8,760 hours in a year. There's 87,600 hours in a decade. So it might take you about 100,000 hours of consistent effort in order for you to build an empire. Will Smith has worked on his empire for approximately 260,000 hours, which is approximately 30 years of hard work that he put in to become King Richard, right? So ultimately, you got to work the plan. But the fourth part, this is the fourth part a lot of people don't talk about. This is why 70% of all wealthy families lose all their wealth in one generation. You know what it is? The fourth is you got to protect what you what you build. You got to be able to protect what you have. So Will Smith, unfortunately, I'm not sure. I'm not going to say this is true or not, but I will say I would wonder if this particular action was the best way to protect his wealth, because you've seen all the headlines that basically say all his projects are put on hold. A lot of the companies don't want to do business with him. Disney, show as hell, ain't going to be signing no $100 million check when they think you might just snap off and go slap somebody at the Oscars. Netflix, all that he was dealing with A-plus companies because the man was a walking corporation. So it reminds me a little bit of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was in that same position. He was a walking corporation. And when he went down, about $500 million in wealth went down with him because he was in that rare space. Will Smith was in that space. Bill Cosby was in that space. So when they started tagging Bill Cosby with all these little incidents, that killed about $300 or $400 million worth of value there. Plus, Bill Cosby's written probably $200 or $300 million worth of checks to people who've accused him of things. So the act of protecting your wealth is already complicated as it is. That means estate planning, trusts, tax strategies and all that, legal issues, attorneys and all that. Will Smith mentioned one time that he has 8 attorneys on retainer all the time just because he gets sued so much with people trying to come after his wealth. Well, now you've got another factor that comes in which is the risk of being a black man. Being a black male is a risk factor in itself, because you have so many weird situations you can end up in, sometimes with other black males. So ultimately, like Tupac was a $1 billion brand, but Tupac's dead now. So now he ain't, he's not worth hardly nothing to nobody because he's gone, right? So ultimately, if you think about this, right? Process this for a minute. Process this. So if Tupac had lived, he would probably be a billionaire, just like Dr. Dre, just like Ice Cube's going to be a billionaire, just like Snoop's going to be a billionaire one day, because now he's doing cannabis brands and all that. Right. So Pac would be on his way too. Pac would be right there with Diddy and Dre and all these guys that are billionaires. Pac would have been right there. But because Pac didn't understand the importance of protecting what you have, and he wanted to get gangster, wanted to jump to the front of the line, wanted to be the guy kind of running out there, just getting into whatever. Now the poor guy ain't here no more. Now his family generational wealth is gone, right, with his life. And this makes me also think about that mafia guy I told you about that was commenting on the Chris Rock Will Smith thing, and Michael Francis. And one thing that he said that was really interesting, you got to pay attention, is he said basically that this guy was a real gangster, like real mafia gangster. All that. He said you got to be careful about being too gangster. He said the guys that were the crazy ones, like the Joe Pesci types, I'll kill everybody, I'll run up and I'll slap anybody, I'll get in your face, I don't care. The Tupac types, like I ain't scared of nothing. He said those guys always ended up dead. He said those guys always ended up dead. And, so ultimately, if you are trying to succeed and you're trying to be strategic and you're trying to be intelligent, you must understand that building wealth requires discipline and patience and strategy. So Chris Rock is being disciplined, he's being patient, and he's being strategic. Whereas Will Smith, on the other hand, right now is appearing very emotional. Lots of dirt is pouring out on him. Lots of people are ganging up on him. The whole world is coming after him. He'll probably still keep the money that he has, but in terms of his ability to go out and make money like Big Willie used to make 20 years ago, I think those days might be gone. But then again, maybe I'm wrong. That's my 2 cents. But that's my story. I'm sticking with it. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you guys have a good night, and God bless you. And thank you for listening. And don't forget, my website is boycewatkins.com. We're doing a town hall in the Black Business School on Tuesday. If you want to come in and ask us questions about the Black Business School, we have a lot of students, over 100,000 students around the world, and we are doing all kinds of stuff on NFTs and crypto and stock market investing and real estate and all kinds of stuff. And so if you're interested, feel free to go take a look. Just go to boycewatkins.com. I have some links over there. And also, like I said, the store where my wife and I have our books, you can actually get an autographed copy of one of my books if you want to. You can go to the drwatkinsstore.com. The URL's right there on the screen. I will sign the book personally and mail it to to you. So feel free to go make a stop there if that's of interest to you. So thank you guys for listening. God bless you. I'll keep you guys posted on all of this. And also there's lots of other content that I'm putting out every single day. So I'll see you soon. And I love you. Take care now. Peace.